everybody, my name's Robert Dunt and I'm the founder of ArtTop10.com, and I'm here today what is literally an absolutely fascinating exhibition, All Too Human, Bacon, Freud and a Century of Painting Life. Stunning exhibition, extraordinary amount of paintings, and I'm very pleased to be chatting to one of the curators, Laura Castagnini. Hello, Laura. So look, Laura, do you just want to give us a little premise run through of the show, why it was put together, what was the idea behind it?
Sure. Should I hold this? Yeah. I'll hold my own microphone. All Too Human is looking at predominantly at British figurative painting in the 21st century. The exhibition is taking a close look at Bacon and Freud as two of our sort of our British. Yeah. I'm not British, as you can tell, so sometimes I say our and then I'm like, oh, not our. There. Anyway, so looking at Britain's sort of foremost, I suppose, figurative painters, Bacon and Freud, but taking a really close look at the context of their making, the subject of their making, the handling of paint, and then stretching that context for the entire 21st century. So, the entire 20th century. So we start with some early precursors to their work, like Soutine and Sickert. Actually, Bacon was particularly interested in one of the Soutines we have on display. And he took David Sylvester to go and look at it, and it sort of changed the way he made made landscapes for a couple of years. Then we run through the entire 20th century up until the more recent sort of developments, looking at artists like Jenny Saville, Celia Paul, and Lynette Yiadom-Boakye.
It's an absolutely fascinating exhibition, especially like when you talk about like the handling of paint. A lot of exhibitions, when you come to them, they sort of try and anchor themselves a bit more in the contemporary than they're trying to be, and say, oh, we're talking about figurative, let's put a video into it anyway. But which, of course, video art has an absolute place in the contemporary art world. But I think what's really exciting is this exhibition seems quite bold. It really is quite painting heavy. There's a few photos, but other than that, it's all paintings. Was that sort of boldness part of the ethos behind this exhibition?
Yeah, I mean, it's a quite bold exhibition in the way that also it's rethinking the narrative of what British figurative painting is. I mean, so I can answer your question in two ways. I mean, we do have an archival section out the back or at the front in Gallery 61, and we also have some interviews with some of the artists. But we've tried to keep the actual spaces quite clean and just to show the works and to their fullest potential, and we have some amazing works. So, but yeah, there's 96 works. 5 of those are photographs, 1 is a sculpture, and the rest are painting. So there's a lot of paintings. So then I suppose the other thing just to add about the boldness of the show is that we are including artists like Francis Newton Sousa, who in the third room, who came over to Britain from India in 1949, I believe, and he had some incredibly successful shows in the mid-50s. He stayed in Britain for 10 years, and it was his most sort of productive period. His work, he's not always included in these narratives of modern British figurative painting, and so he's given an entire room in this exhibition. And same with somebody like Paula Rego. She was also very, very present throughout the second half of the 20th century, and still is one of the most important figurative artists. But art history can sometimes be a masculine, patriarchal canon. So we are trying to rethink that a little bit and expand it out.
Oh, absolutely, no, I totally agree. I thought both those rooms, the Paula Rego and the D'Souza, were really good, actually. It really added a bit more of a, not what you expect always in the exhibition. Actually much the same with the Coldstream, William Coldstream behind us, because he obviously is, right back in that whole Slade School of Art sort of sensibility. And I've wanted to see these pictures for ages, but they suddenly appear and you find them, you think, oh, wow, that's cool. I think the fascinating thing about the Coldstreams is I think people often think of it as a very objective attempt to paint correctly what you see. But actually, when I was reading more about him, as he went on and on building these figures up, he became fascinated by the mathematical relationships between, say, the length of the thigh or the length of an arm, and they actually began to shift away from an objective relationship to a more kind of sort of almost mathematical sense of beauty he was sort of striving for. Do you see any of that in the paintings yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting to see you can see here the marks of where he was actually measuring the canvas. And as you're saying, sort of, he had these particular kind of techniques of being able to record factually and very precisely the body, and he really sort of scrutinized the figure. But I suppose it's interesting thinking about, I mean, in this other work over here, he actually ended up marrying this model and had 3 children with her. So there is a sort of objectivity, but at some point that doesn't necessarily always stay that way. Yeah. And I think that is something that this exhibition really looks at, is the relationship of artists and their models is something that comes up again and again, and the way that artists... I mean, I was talking to someone earlier and saying that actually the way that artists look is very interesting in this exhibition. And Coldstream is used in this exhibition and his teaching at the Slade, look at one way of looking, which is a very sort of intense, like, I'm going to like draw that, and then, whereas other artists maybe have more sort of empathetic, less cold gaze. There's lots of different ways of looking in this exhibition.
Oh, that's really nice, actually. That's a really nice way of looking at it. There's different ways of looking. And it's really cool. And it's nice to have an exhibition that's focused on looking and how people look, as opposed to some more textual understanding of the world. But anyway, just to wrap it up, because it's wonderful chatting to you. So do you have a favourite picture?
There are so many favorites. And, obviously the works that some of the works I hadn't seen until they got here. So that was very, very exciting. One of the works that I was like a little schoolgirl on Christmas. Like when the crate came in and the art handlers were unpacking Jenny Saville's Reverse, I was just like, oh my God, take off the wrapper. I want to see behind it. And I mean, I loved Jenny Saville forever. Like, since I was, that particular work actually, since I was a student, and I've never seen it before. So it was just because I've only been living in London for 3.5 years. So some of these works have circulated, but before my time. Yeah. So that was amazing. And then actually some works that I didn't expect to love so much, I sort of really fell in love with as well. Yeah, but if I had to choose one that I would have in my house, I think I'd say it would be that one, probably the Jenny Saville. It's a big one. I have to get a bigger flat. Yeah.
That's lovely. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Laura. It was great to chat. And it's a wonderful exhibition, so please do come and have a look at it. Okay. Bye. Bye. Bye.